What month is it?
What month is it?
What month is it?
What month is it? And thus concludes our two-man show, What Month Is It? That show got mounted on Broadway because so many people are wondering, what month is it? Mm-hmm. You don't need to wonder anymore what month it is because guess what? It's June 1st. What better time to buy a 2025 calendar?
I agree.
Because we still have our 2025 Lived and Died in LA monthly wall calendars. Each day features the name and location of a different person of note who died in LA and where it happened. And there's pictures of different houses.
They're not crime scene photos. They're house photos.
They're just the houses.
Just the house.
But now they look like crime scene for some of these places because some of these neighborhoods were destroyed in January. But look, it's June. Why would you buy a calendar in June? Because the information on these is fun to just look at.
Yeah.
But because you missed half the year already, we are slashing the price.
Whoa.
Oh, who's that? Wait, is that The Exorcist? Wait, which is The Exorcist and which is Michael Myers?
You're singing Halloween's theme from John Carpenter.
Okay.
Exorcist, I never remember. Yeah, that's it.
So, okay, yeah. So these
riding on the metro,
riding on the devil. Oh yeah, so that's what we're doing. We are slashing the price in half because we are crazy, and also because you missed half the year. So guess what? You can get one of these $15.
Wow.
Shipping included. You'll still get half the year. You could look back at what you missed from the rest of the year. You can relive those wonderful first 6 months of this year.
Remember February? And it's just a picture of someone screaming.
It wasn't as good as January. So you can send us a message on Instagram at LA_meekly or email us at la.meekly@gmail.com or go to lameeklypodcast.com. You can send us a message to still get a half a year of usage for just $15.
1.5.
What? Oh no, 50. I meant.
Oh, good boy.
No, but seriously, that was funny. It's 1.5.
It's 1.5.
I don't want people to be scared.
Yeah.
So get these calendars and hey, get them out of my closet.
Get them out of his closet. He needs to hide more sugar items from his wife.
I know. Because she wants to eat them. Not because I shouldn't be eating them. It's a double-edged sword.
There's two fiends in one house. Come on.
It's the house. Greg, come on. Shanty. All right.
Bye.
Buy the calendars. No. Flash. That's our A24 trailer version of Wipeout, the Wipeout movie starring Jude Law.
Jude Law, triumphant return, even though he hasn't really gone anywhere. And Margaret Qualley. It's got Margaret Qualley and Pedro Pascal because they're in everything right now.
And it also has Megan. Megan's in this.
She's doing her dance on a surfboard this time. Imagine they should do Gidget, but it's Megan.
GI3 ET. And ET's in it too.
ET's also
He's
in
also
it.
in an ET A24. You know what? If that was all that was on a poster, ET A24, I am in. You've got me. Hook, line, and stinker. I am in. But there is surfing music involved. That wasn't just a random song we were singing. But before we tell you that there is surf music involved, welcome to M3 Clee.
33 Clee.
33 Clee 2.0 and a third. This is the world's.
Whoa.
I'm going to say it. There's only one Los Angeles in the world, and we are the Los Angeles History Podcast.
That's
so
true.
Is there another Los Angeles in the world?
There's probably a super religious city that Spain took over that they're calling, we're calling this the Angels. And people are like, all right.
And nobody's seen anybody go in or out for 30 years. And they sent a news crew. They disappeared.
Yeah.
They don't have a
went down there and he thought that there was like some sort of angel tomb, but it was empty.
You see Geraldo went down there?
Yeah. Yeah, Geraldo went down there.
Yeah, they cracked open Michael's tomb. I swear there's going to be something good in this one. Okay, Geraldo.
Whatever you say. You paid for this. We can't stop you.
His passion project.
Passion
of the Craig.
He has a shame king.
But this is Daniel, King of Shame, Zaffron.
This is Greg,
He's too ashamed to say his
I'm
last
just
name.
too ashamed. I have to take my ball gag out to say my name.
So this is a show where we talk about Los Angeles history. And before we talk about what we did last month or what we're talking about this month, guess what, Greg?
What?
We have two new Patreon saints supporting us.
Every word got better than the last.
As long as every sentence gets more religious as it goes on, I am into it.
I am into it. Amen.
So this month we have got, for first, Rafael Mazur.
Hi, Raphael. Thank you for supporting us.
That's a fun last name.
It
Mazur.
is. Mazur, yeah.
Yeah.
M-A-U-Z-A-R?
No, that would be Mauser.
Oh, Mauser.
M-A-Z-O-R. Rafael how would you pronounce that? I don't know what this name is, actually. Though I just took it for granted. I don't know what this name is.
I think you were saying it the right way.
Rafael Mazur.
Mazur.
Hey, Rafael, where are you from? Okay.
What gang are you affiliated with? Who are you repping?
So, Rafael, welcome in. And then we have got Simply Liz.
Simply Liz?
Yeah, Simply Liz. Unsweetened.
I think I know this Liz.
Yeah, you know this Liz.
I think I know this Liz. Yeah. And she told me about the Great Emu War, which...
Emu?
Emu.
Not like
Death
Cab for Cutie versus what's
My
another
Chemical Romance.
Hoobastank.
Yeah, Hoobastank's not emo.
Hoobastank is not. What is Hoobastank?
No, they're like
Screamo.
No, they're like hippie spiritual indie.
Hoobastank?
Oh, I'm thinking of
You're thinking of Polyphonic Spree or something.
Who am I thinking of?
I don't.
You're right. It's not Hoobastank.
Hoobastank is. I would say Hoobastank is emo verging on screamo. They're like, maybe they're more closer to like POD, which is religious, I guess.
Right. Yeah, you're right. That's Hoobastank. Who am I? I'm thinking of. I don't even know how to search a band with a guy has long hair.
No musician has ever had long hair.
My cousin Lizzie took me to see them a lot, and now I don't remember their name.
It must be Puddle of Mud. Why were we talking about that? We're welcoming Liz.
Oh, yeah.
The Emo Wars.
The Emu Wars. You could look it up. It's not LA history, so we're not allowed to cover it.
No, we aren't. But Liz is allowed to cover it on her Emo History podcast.
Yeah, her Emo History podcast, which bird fans love.
Yeah, they love it. She talks about emus, Emo Phillips, the comedian Emu Phillips.
She talks about Timu.
And the Timu and also the St. Louis pizza chain emos. Those are her 5 topics. And she's got a lot to say.
Yeah, and her intro song, Screamo.
Oh, you mean like the Polyphonic Spree? So you too can support us on Patreon for as little as $5 a month. You will help support the show and get a handwritten postcard from us each month from a different location in LA.
This is
all true. But you can also merely support the show for $1 a month. We still appreciate it greatly to immensely.
Somewhere in that range.
Any level you join at, you will get an official LA Meekly sticker. And you can put that on an emu. They are emu safe.
Yeah, there's a little area near the butt. The stinky little butthole that you could put that on.
Yeah, they call it the bumper. The bumper of an emu.
The bumper, yeah.
So now before we get into what we're going to be talking about for June, Greg, what did you do in...
Yes.
Wait, May.
May I speak? I didn't do a lot in the LA area. So
this is a little controversial.
I would like to use a passport and talk about what I did this month.
You get one. Oh, is this a real ID that you're using?
It's a real ID, yeah.
Okay,
and the picture's a little fuzzy, but I know the picture, it looks like Kurt Russell, but you got to believe it's me.
Yeah, you've got Kurt Russell's ID from Escape from LA. Who are you trying to kid?
I flipped it. The eye patch is on the other eye. I went surfing. I took surfing lessons.
This is big.
Yeah.
Especially for this episode. But this is big for you.
It is big for me. And you know what else is big for me? The waves. I do not
You know what else is big for me? The kahuna. Which is what I am. I am now the big kahuna, okay?
I went surfing in Pismo Beach. I took a lesson with Sandbar Surf, which is
you have to go all the way to Pismo Beach to surf. Greg,
down here. I don't know if you know this, but there's waves down here.
Where I'm about to prove to you surfing was invented.
First of all, I stopped at a great tiki bar in Bakersfield called Tiki Co., which is fantastic. It's actually 2 bars. There's one upstairs, one downstairs. Continued going
Your real
west.
ID better be 21 and over.
I continued going west, and I ended up in Pismo Beach for the morning because I went surfing, took surfing lessons. I'm not very good, but I would like to get good. If anyone wants to go surfing with me, please.
Surf in LA, and then we can talk about this.
I asked the guy, I'm like, hey, Josh, my boy, where to surf in LA? He's like, go to Venice for beginners. I thought, no thanks.
Venice for beginners?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It's not Dogtown and Z-Boys anymore. They won't throw your engine in the car or whatever.
Yeah, I will never go surfing, ever.
Yeah, you said that as soon as I told you, instead of saying, I'm proud of you, or how did it go? You said, I will never go surfing.
Well, I could see that you have 2 shark bites on your legs, so I knew
What's
how it
left
went.
of my legs.
What you still refer to as legs, yes.
I'm glad the shark bit it off because I got stung by a stingray.
Did you really?
No. So the shark bit off that part of my leg that was in immense amount of pain.
That feels great.
That feels great,
The shock has not worn off yet.
I am not getting any phantom pains.
By the way, if you heard Greg with something in his mouth right now, his dentures are coming a little loose, but he's also, Greg made tiki drinks in honor
Tiki
of this.
mocktails.
Tiki mockies.
Mockies, because I know you don't drink, even though you'd be a lot cooler if you did.
But I also shouldn't be drinking this much sugar. What's in these drinks?
Okay, what did we put? We put
We had
Pog juice.
Yeah. We played Pog,
We
and then
played Pog.
we juiced them.
Yeah, we put them in a food processor. I put Pog in there, like maybe half the cup, little cups. Then I put coconut milk,
Maraschino cherries.
maraschino cherries,
Mandarin Harito.
yeah,
right?
Mandarin Harito, and then
You put some agave in yours.
agave syrup in mine just
Not
to give
mine.
it a little thickness. You didn't want it because that's too much sugar. And then there's 3 maraschino cherries on the little stick.
Yeah, it's a lot. This is very refreshing.
It is.
I'm really enjoying it. And also my doctor is listening.
Yeah, he gets live updates.
Yeah, I have concierge. That's how it's a special plan at Kaiser. They will listen to your podcast if you pay a premium.
And they will not subscribe. And they will not donate money.
We're drinking those, but you want to hear what I did in the
Yes,
past
please.
one? It's not, I mean, we kind of got really on theme.
Yeah.
Now we're getting completely off theme for me to talk about what I did last month.
What you do last month.
I went to the Braille Institute.
You did, didn't you?
Yeah,
Having some trouble seeing, my friend? Wanted to feel little nipples everywhere? Is that why you went? You pervert?
Need to clean those glasses of yours? Because our friend of ours, friend of the show, Eric Nussbaum, was giving a
Right.
talk there.
Author Eric Nussbaum of Stealing Home.
Stealing Home, the book about Dodgers. I don't know what the subtitle is, but it's a book about
The Chavez Ravine being taken over for Dodger Stadium.
yeah, and the Dodgers moving to LA and all that, and
One of
more
the best
baseball history.
Alley history books out there.
I mean, maybe just below the transcript of Ellie Meekley, the transcript coming to
The bound book. The court transcripts.
It's like a Torah scroll.
Yeah. The judge wrote the forward.
The L.A. Meekley, the settlement. So he was there giving a talk about his book, moderated by Gustavo Arellano,
Right.
who's a writer who is currently nominated for a Pulitzer Prize.
Wow.
Apparently. But it was really cool. Have you been to the Braille Institute? Too? You have. For your dad?
Yeah, for my dad.
Because we got stuff for my grandma also.
Oh, yeah?
But yeah, like you go in there, it's been around for like 100, what did I write down? It's been around since 1933.
Wow.
It's 2033, right? It's 100 years.
We'll round up.
It's like not just like it's like a complex, like
Yeah.
almost like a film studio. And they had like a recording booth where they were recording audiobooks. They had like a room where they were transcribing books into Braille and like creating audiobook, whatever. It's a really cool compound and they're doing a lot of good stuff, but I'm pretty sure they thought I was blind. I told you a little bit, but
The
like
thing I did this month, people thought I was blind.
because I
They were flipping you off and holding things up right to your face.
yeah, they were doing an impression of me to each other right in front of me. Yeah, they were waving their hands in front of my face. When I pulled into the parking lot, I asked, like, there's a security guard. I was like, "Where do I park?" And she's like, "Can you see that sign over there?" And I was like, "Yeah." And I went over there. And then when I came in,
Was it Chris Tucker from Rush Hour?
can you see the signs that I'm pointing to? When I went in, I asked the reception, like, "Where's the talk?" And they were like, the way they were talking to me, and like, I could tell,
It's
like
47 clicks forward.
yeah, like I could tell like they were gauging whether or not I could see. And then when I got into the library where they were having the talk, they gave me a meal ticket that I asked, like, because some other, like our friend Alex was there and Eric's family was there. And I was like, did any of you get a meal ticket? And nobody else got a meal ticket. So I don't know why, but they thought I was blind. And then I also wanted to confront Gustavo Arellano because he famously, I was in the KCRW pie contest.
Right.
And him and Moby were the judges and they didn't like my pie.
That's
so
right.
I wanted to be
So
like,
it was a confrontation.
it was a confrontation.
Yeah.
And I said to Eric afterwards, like, should I tell Gustavo Arellano what he did to me?
The devastation he laid on my family. He shamed me.
He should be stripped of his Pulitzer for this.
Pulitzer.
Yeah, I certainly didn't like my Pulitzer. But yeah, that was my time at the Braille Institute.
That sounds great. Everyone should go check it out. It's a wonderful institute. It's right by LACC. Do you think that Florence Pugh is related to Pepe Le Pew?
Florence LePew?
Yeah, Florence LePew, yeah.
Yes, I do.
Anyways.
But yeah, so that's what we did in May. I was confused for a blind man, and I
almost drowned.
Greg almost drowned, and I almost got into a pie fight with a Pulitzer Prize winning author.
He didn't win yet.
Oh, but he will.
He will.
He's
a shoo-in.
He's about to be canonized. Yeah, he's a shoo-in.
They elected a new pope. It's Gustavo.
There's white smoke coming out of the Braille Institute.
They call him the pie pope because his word is infallible. Did you know that?
Well, he thought my crust was inswallowable. So anyway, now let's finally get into what we're talking about.
Okay.
So summer's here, I think. Mm-hmm. When does summer start exactly?
Summer starts when the news tells me.
Summer starts when I spill my first ice cream cone on the floor. That's when summer starts.
When I go to the soda hop. That's when it starts.
When Punxsutawney Phil comes out and steals my ice cream cone.
Yeah, he's got sunglasses on, a little Hawaiian shirt.
He gives me 2 thumbs up. That's how you know it's going to be the hottest summer in recorded history. So we're going to be covering 2 iconic parts of summer in LA that go hand in hand. Tiki drinks and surfing, which, by the way, don't drink and surf, I think. Should you not do that?
Nah,
I mean, I guess.
You shouldn't drink and do anything. You should drink and lounge.
You should drink and be sad.
Yeah, that's what I've been doing for like 20 years now.
So yeah, you're going to be talking about tiki culture.
I'm going to talk about tiki culture as a whole, and drinks will work into it.
Let me just relabel this episode. Yeah, and then I'm going to be talking about surfing.
You sure are going to be talking about surfing. You talking about surfing drinks? Oh, just surfing culture, right?
Your tiki drinks and I'm serving. That's what I meant to say.
I'm serving C word. Is that a big deal?
C. I'm serving the C this episode. And again, we have our tiki drinks. We can sip upon them.
I wish there was more ice in this, but it's okay.
So Greg, tell me about tiki, I guess, culture, not just the drinks.
Okay, I guess. I thought you were going to be talking about Aloha shirts this whole time.
We're going to get down to the very roots of tiki culture in Southern California, home of one of the first tiki bars with a larger-than-life figure who is seen as the creator of many of the tropical drinks that nerds like me adore. But to talk about tiki culture, we have to first talk about the reappropriation of Polynesian culture by Americans.
Finally,
we're going to talk about what's important. The region we'll briefly touch on was once known as the South Seas or South Pacific, but is now known as Oceania. This includes parts of Southeast Asia, such as Indonesia, the Philippines, and Malaysia, but it also includes islands like Samoa, Guam, Tonga, the Cook Islands, Easter Islands, Tahiti, Papua New Guinea, Fiji, Australia, Hawaii, New Zealand, and many, many more, like 10 more.
10 more that are impossible to name.
Yeah, this was just been the geography list that my nephew would have freaked out about. It is said that while the people of these areas have entirely different cultures, nationalities, and experiences, they are descended from a ceramic-making seafaring group known as the Polynesians, who are believed to have left Taiwan and gone exploring into the Pacific Ocean between 3000 to 1000 BC.
Left Taiwan. Interesting.
Yeah.
Don't tell China. China's going to start claiming Hawaii and Australia.
No, that's ours too. Ali McLean said it. Papua New Guinea's ours.
Yeah, that's also part of my insurance plan. China listens to my podcast too.
China listens to everybody.
Well,
okay? Yeah. You're not special. The area that encompasses Oceania could really be split into 3 parts that are divided by ethnogeography, which is the study of relationships.
Greg with his ethnogeography theories.
Ethnogeography, which is the study of the relationship of groups of people by their region. There's Melanesia, which is closer to Australia, Micronesia, which is closer to Asia.
I've heard of that.
And Polynesia, the most eastern of the 3 and closest to North America. Polynesia is a large triangle with the 3 points being Hawaii, New Zealand, and Easter Island.
That's a huge triangle.
It's a huge triangle.
That's like bigger than the Bermuda Triangle.
That's like its own ocean. Like, just name it.
The Triangle Ocean.
Yeah, the not Bermuda Triangle.
Yeah.
Cool. So what's tiki? The word tiki is traced to the Maori people, the indigenous population who populated New Zealand. Now, there's a lot of different theories, but most seem to agree that tiki in Maori culture is their first man, their Adam is Tiki.
He was named Tiki.
Tiki, which there's a lot of different ideas of what tiki is. According to Maori mythology, it is widely believed that the Maori tiki represents the unborn human embryo. In Maori culture, this represents a particularly powerful spirit for warding off bad luck and is highly regarded as a good luck charm. Is also known as a symbol of fertility.
Okay.
Oh, here we go.
Now we're talking.
Tiki or tiki.
That explains why I feel that way after this this very virgin drink.
He did take his shoes off. which is an aphrodisiac in Daniel's culture.
It's somewhere between Polynesia and Micronesia. but it's not Micronesia, I promise.
It's just cold outside.
It's Average-nesia. It's cold outside. The water's cold.
The water's cold.
The triangle's cold today.
Tiki or tiki is a general term for carving, and many definitions for tiki mention large wooden carved images of the creator ancestor figure Tiki. So tiki is not only like their first man, it's also the carved image of the gods. I think the Europeans aboard the HMS Endeavour in 1768, the first Europeans who made it to Polynesia, entered the word tiki in a journal in 1777, defining the word to mean image. There's also the term hei tiki, which is a pendant you wear around your neck. It's a hand-carved green stone like nephrite or paunamu, and it is the sculpted image of a human figure. These are heirlooms that are said to connect the wearer to their ancestors. It's also said that according to Maori lore, that tiki is a term for a phallic symbol, the name of the sex organ of the god Tain, the creator of the first woman.
Tiki was showing, Greg. Keep your tiki in your pants, man.
As much as the term tiki is used over and over, what is important to understand SoCal tiki culture, what all of it is trying to evoke is America's obsession with traveling and conducting expeditions to quote-unquote primitive cultures. Because to me, someone who spent a large part of their life immersed in rockabilly and lowbrow art and kooky kitsch things and all the subcultures that brush against SoCal tiki stuff, after all that, still to this day, my touchstone of capturing the feel that the whole scene is going for is always going to be Disney's Jungle Cruise, the ride. It's all anytime
from the first man of Maori legend to a tour guide in Disneyland making puns about hippos. We have the history of tiki for you.
Because there's tiki like in Polynesian culture, but that's not what it feels like. That's not what LA SoCal tiki is going for. It's going for 50s reappropriation of that, which is to me Jungle Cruise.
Yeah,
or almost like two things. It's Jungle Cruise and Gilligan's Island.
When I think of the Tiki Central of Los Angeles, I think of Burbank.
Right.
And
Burbank also is hot rods, rockabilly,
and Disney.
Vintage, and Disney.
Yeah, it has become the Disneyfication of tiki culture.
It is, yeah. And Jungle Cruise is all about exploring other cultures because after all, Jungle Cruise is Disney's play on the African Queen.
Is it?
Yeah.
Huh.
Isn't that weird?
That is weird.
Yeah.
Wait, so is Humphrey Bogart a Disney prince?
Do you know he does puns the entire movie, right? And he's always like, oh, what's that?
Oh no, better duck. And then a duck goes by.
Yeah, that's pretty funny.
Trust me, I applied.
They said that no thanks.
They said maybe try the backlot tour at Universal.
And maybe all of this is truly about returning to a quote-unquote simpler life away from the metropolitan, going even further back into our DNA than the rural or pastoral, and all the way down to being what Americans see as early man. Maybe it's all about going back to like just living at the beach in the serene, serenity or whatever. The fantasy of Polynesia and later just a romanticization of Hawaii is just a daydream of calm and cool.
That's why it goes so well hand in hand with surfing, because that's what so many people are trying to capture by being surfers.
It's weird because
although also trying to capture some tasty waves.
It's trying to capture some sweet wipeouts.
Some gnarly shark bites.
It's funny because like tiki is like you're supposed to be evoking like exotic cultured man of leisure, and then surfing's like, what if I skated on water? Even though that's the reverse. The ocean water, like the idea of like Hawaii, like the ocean water is warm and always within arm's reach. The music is soothing and delightful. The fruits are tart and tangy and everywhere.
The groceries are expensive.
The drugs are here. To a European reading Captain Cook's journals of his explorations of Polynesia, or Americans reading Herman Melville's Taipi, their idea of exotic. Taipi is like one of the first books he wrote. It's about like exploring Polynesian islands.
Okay.
I read like 30 pages of it, and I thought it was all about cannibalism, but it's kind of just like, here's how I'm wrong about indigenous cultures.
You got Day of the Locust. You thought this was going to be a book about cannibals. Is Captain Cook the one that Captain Hook is modeled after?
I don't know. He did have a lot of kids aboard. I don't know. I have no idea.
He did have a weird obsession with clocks, and I won't spoil how it ended, but it may or may not have been an alligator.
TikTok.
He did have a first mate with a pretty funny name.
So by the 30s, graphic tropes of island life began to form and become shorthand. The beautiful native girl in a grass skirt dancing, outrigger canoes, straw huts, palm trees, bamboo, coconuts, and other exotic flora and fauna, big, colorful birds. All of this started to form into people's
beautiful
birds. And I love my big curvy bird.
My big colorful bird.
Curve. Curve is the word. Hawaiian steel guitar music had a craze in the 20s. Artists and art collectors, along with eccentric rich people, would collect ancient ruins from the islands and put them on display, such as masks, ceramics, and idols. And soon the carved image of the heathen idol became another shorthand graphic to link to Polynesian pop. The deities sculpted and carved into wood of ceramics would soon enough be referred to as Tiki itself. Like this is Tiki. It's a carved god face.
So Tiki's like a state of mind at this point.
At that point in the 30s, it almost becomes, a state of mind. It becomes like the idea of island life.
I mean, we talked about the Jungle Cruise, but are you going to talk about the explicit place called the Tiki Room?
I will not be talking about the Enchanted Tiki Room, but that is so much SoCal. Is the Enchanted Tiki Room, the Dole Whip, and the Jungle Cruise is like a trifecta of like.
But the Dole Whip, as I learned recently for our other show, the Dole Whip didn't come out till the 80s, I think.
Oh, maybe, yeah.
So that was a little, I mean, the Tiki Room was around, and I think they were serving like pineapple spears and pineapple juice, but the Dole Whip itself was later. But
I mean, certainly the Jungle Cruise and the Enchanted Tiki Room are tied to like America's the first half of the century, like I want to say like the 40s and 50s particularly.
It was like first we were obsessed with Egypt, and then we were obsessed with Polynesia.
Well, it was like the golden age of travel. So like
and we were obsessed with Vietnam.
People are coming back from like rich people are coming back from trips and it changing their whole life and their whole like now suddenly like I collect what's the guy's name in Silver Lake who collected all those ruins? Footerer. Yeah, it's the same thing with him. I mean, but he was like actually Indiana Jones, but
he did own a whip. So
it spoke to like
which is also another Disney for that guy.
Yeah, that's another. Yeah,
is Disneyland just a microcosm of Los Angeles history? Wait a minute, what's Splash Mountain? Oh, wait. Sorry. Tiana's Adventure.
Yeah. Tiana's Drop to Death.
Well, look. Tiana's Drop of Doom. The Gold Rush thing.
Yeah.
Big Thunder Mountain. Space Mountain. The Aerospace. JPL. That's, oh my God. Young Sheldon. What's the actor's name?
Oh my God.
Jack Parsons. That's Jack Parsons Mountain.
Yeah, Jack Parsons Mountain.
And what you don't see when the lights are off, you don't want to see. If you turn on the...
Is there a way to make the lights darker? Like, I know they're off, but can you like...
Make sure the black lights don't come on in that ride.
The Matterhorn is the Swiss Alps, which people were going to the Swiss Alps. Like, the idea of travel was like a big thing to people. So yeah, they were trying to do shorthand. That's what Disney was trying to do. Like, you don't have to go exploring. You can come here and we'll have all the dreamland effect, which I'll get into with Tiki. James Teitelbaum, the author of Tiki Road Trip, put it broadly by saying that Tiki is a generic description for any wide variety of stone or wood carvings created by Pacific Islanders, sure. But put into a broader terms of pop culture, Tiki is a design aesthetic that symbolizes an idealized way of life. It makes no sense that anybody would want to leave Gilligan's Island.
That was the subtext.
Yeah.
They're trying, but are they really? They're sabotaging themselves.
Mm-hmm. Self-sabotage is the best.
Yeah.
Because they know how expensive coconuts in there are on the mainland, and they're getting it for free here.
Inside of every man, there's a skipper and a Gilligan. Inside of every woman, there's a Marianne.
You're a Mrs. Howell. During the golden age of travel for the wealthy elites anyways, was shortly before World War I. Regular working class Americans would have to wait till after World War II was over, but we'll get to that. But during the period, Americans would, like we were saying, travel to exotic lands, and the South Seas was a popular destination. When they returned to their normal, boring lives here, they wanted to replicate those vibes. So suddenly, they wanted to capture an aesthetic and create or replicate a themed space. So now we have arrived at the Tiki Bar.
Okay.
And as far as American tiki bars, they are, of course, rooted in, like I was saying, Dreamland, the home of the movies and Orange Crate labels and Venice canals. Los Angeles was a perfect place for tiki bars to take hold because we were all about recreating places.
Yeah, we're big Disneyland.
We're
We're Disney World.
Because until Hawaii became a United State in 1959, California was the closest thing a lot of dumb Okies had to island living. So we were their idea of going westward and being island.
Well, we remember the place we talked about that was in Woodland Hills that was like sort of like a Baghdad, like Middle Eastern kind of recreation. So yeah, we are just recreating different cultures.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And that was James M. Cain wrote that really scathing review of the city, and he was like, they don't have their own architecture style; they just steal everyone else's and then place it together. And then that's their style. Yeah, punk ass. What of it? Dumb. Don't you have insurance money to fraud or whatever you did? So there's really two rum-obsessed godfathers of tiki culture. One covers Northern California, the other opens up shop in Southern California. And I've been reading a tangled web of 3 tiki bars and trying to figure out who opened first, who borrowed vibes from who, etc., etc. And this is to be said. I read this somewhere. I don't know how accurate it is, but during Prohibition, rum was the cheapest liquor you can get. Thus, there was already a lean post-Prohibition towards rum. So that explains that a little bit.
Why would rum be so much cheaper?
I don't know. I did not do that part of the research. I just was like, oh, like rum runners. And that was the last part I thought about that. But rum was cheaper. Okay, anyways. So I won't go into who opened up first, but I'll say that it seems like it was Trader Vic's, Don the Beachcomber, and the Seven Seas all influenced each other in different ways at the very formation of the idea of the tiki bar, moving it from what is called pre-tiki Polynesian, I imagine what it's like to eat at islands, into a full tiki bar.
Okay.
So in Oakland,
Which is what it's like to eat at the Rainforest
Cafe, I guess.
I guess that's more rainforesty.
Yeah, that's more
What's
Amazon.
the most tiki restaurant there is? I mean, Islands is pretty tiki. Well, Islands is more surfy.
Yeah, it's more surf. It's like beach. Islands is just like the beach.
The beach.
The beach. I went, if you're looking for a tiki restaurant, I mean, I talk about it here.
King's Hawaii?
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, actually, the King's Hawaiian in Torrance is actually pretty tiki. Damon's in Glendale. The steakhouse.
I don't know what that is.
Oh, brother. I went yesterday. It's the real deal. But we'll get there.
Mm.
So in Oakland, Vic Bergeron opened up a little bar called Hinky Dinks in 1934. But after an expedition around the country learning from the best bartenders out there, which included Don the Beachcomber, he returned to the Bay and converted one of the rooms at Hinky Dinks into the Bamboo Room. After that, inspired by a guy we'll get into in a minute, Vic Bergeron started going by moniker Trader Vic. And soon he dropped the name Hinky Dink. And once the Bamboo Room started infesting the rest of the bar, infested it with cool guy vibes, the bar changed its name in 1938 to Trader Vic's. And he would go on to create the Mai Tai.
Oh, okay. Well, also that's another thing that is tiki leaning created in LA, Trader Joe's.
Yeah, Trader Joe's is another. Exactly. I forgot about that. Yeah, Trader Joe's is another one.
Okay, so he created the Mai Tai. This is still in Oakland or the Bay Area, I mean?
The bar?
The bar. Or
I think it is. I know that San Francisco and the Bay Area has a lot of tiki bars and Trader Vic's has a big presence, but I don't know if the original bar in Oakland is still there. I should look into that.
Where is Trader Vic's?
Trader Vic's is in Oakland.
Oh, okay.
I can look it up now because I have the internet.
Well, then why do people talk about Trader Vic's all the time?
They're talking about Trader Sam's usually.
Well, but I hear people say Trader Vic's.
Trader Vic's is also like a pretty... he's one of the big names in like tiki culture.
But if they talk about it as if there's a place... I feel like people say...
I think there is. Hold on.
Okay.
I just want to find out where. I know there is a Trader Vic's. I know there's one in Palm Springs. There's a lot of tiki stuff in Palm Springs. But I want to see if the original one is open. There's a lot. And they are also in like the San Jose airport, the Oakland
Trader
airport.
Vic's
Yeah, Trader Vic's. Yeah.
Okay.
There's a lot. It's like a big franchise.
I knew that there were still Trader Vic's around.
It's a big franchise and it seems to be international.
And what's the place near Disneyland? That's Trader Sam's.
That's Trader Sam's downtown
and that's
Disney.
still open?
That's still open. That's one of the best ones.
Okay.
Safari Swizzle. I've never had a drink come with a warning before.
What is the warning? You're going to love this?
You're going to love it. You're going to get trashed. Only have one. And people are like, oh, okay. And it's like, oh, this is one of the strongest things. So just to tell everybody, the original formula of the Mai Tai for the curious, 2 ounces of 17-year-old J. Ray and nephew rum over shaved ice.
J. Ray and 17-year-old nephew. What are you talking about, Greg?
Did I say nephew?
You said nephew. What is this?
17-year-old J. Ray and nephew rum.
What is
J. Ray and nephew is a company.
Okay.
Okay. Half an ounce of orange curacao, half an ounce of Trader Vic's rock candy syrup, half an ounce of French Garnier or orgeat syrup, which is like almond syrup, and then a squeeze of lime juice. That's the original Mai Tai that he made. It's changed over time, but that was the original one he put together. That's fine and dandy for Oakland. 3rd best murder rate in the state behind Stockton and San Bernardino. But what about down here in sunny
because
South
of those
Dakota?
Mai Tais.
I'm willing to go up there for
Please
it.
just have one. You will murder if you have 2. I'll see about that.
Yeah. No, I can't make a pun about murder and Mai Tais. Now enters Ernest Raymond Beaumont.
Mai Tai.
Mai Tai.
Mai Tai. Ernest what? Borgnine?
Ernest Raymond Beaumont Nat. Gantt. Or Gantt.
Like the bug.
Maybe like the bug. Who would later go by the name Don Beach, Donn. And in 1934 would open up Don the Beachcomber at 1722 North McCadden Place in Hollywood. Nothing's there anymore, but it's right off of Hollywood Boulevard close to the Egyptian Theater. This was one of the first and biggest and best tiki bars to ever exist.
Okay. What's the place on the Redondo Beach Pier?
Tony's at the pier.
Tony's at the pier. Okay. Wait, where is it? Why did I think Don the Beachcomber was also still here? Or
his name gets traveled around a lot.
Yeah,
but
that name is like I hear it like they talking about it as if like he's coming for me, like Don the Beachcomber.
I think there is a Don the Beachcomber in Palm Springs.
Okay,
I didn't look up other franchises because
these names have almost become like the same sort of legend as the name Tiki,
Yeah.
like I feel like these names are just applying to anything, like anything Tiki related you can call Trader Vic's.
Yeah, pretty much. They're all drawing from the same pool. There is one still in Palm Springs, the Trader Vic's.
Okay.
And
Don the Beachcomber though.
Sorry, Don the Beachcomber.
Okay.
And
Trader Vic's.
So Don Beach, seems like a really cool guy. Don Beach is a hard guy to get locked down because he certainly blurred the line between personal and persona so well that many people don't really know the truth of Ernest Raymond Beaumont Gant. And because he was a famous spinner of tales, it's hard to tell what his true story is. He was born in 1907 in either Texas or New Orleans. According to many, he worked a litany of odd jobs on steamships and developed a deep love of the South Pacific. Another article I read said he had never been to the South Pacific until after he opened up his restaurant, and he probably got his name from Don Blatting, a poet who often wrote about Hawaii. That's what one person says. Many bios mention that once he got to Hollywood, he began working as a bootlegger and ran a speakeasy until Prohibition was repealed December 1933, and the following year opened up his restaurant, Don the Beachcomber.
So was he like combing the beach for the contraband barrels of rum?
Oh yeah, you bury that all the rum.
Follow the X. I've got bootleg gin.
I made it in a bathtub. Once my daughter was done bathing in there. She's 4. It's not gross. I'm not being a pervert. She's too big for the sink now. The last part, the part where he opened up a restaurant called Don the Beachcomber in 1934, is indisputable fact. That's the one thing that's for sure. But stop what you're doing and look up Don Beach of Don the Beachcomber, and you'll see this guy was either the real deal or handled his cosplay perfectly.
Well, it was Hollywood Boulevard. Like, I wouldn't be surprised.
I was saying the same thing. It's Hollywood Boulevard. You have to be good at cosplay, but also like
you have to be good at cosplay.
Yeah, God, Romanoff. I forgot his first name of Romanoff's.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
the fake Russian count.
The fake Russian count who was just like, I know that you all know I'm fake. I'm gonna keep doing that.
But seriously, the Johnny Depp in front of the Chinese theater, real.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, not just a real Johnny Depp. That's a real pirate.
He's got scurvy.
Please help him.
Yeah.
Also, Shrek, real.
Donkey, not real. 2 guys in a suit. It's 2 Johnny Depps in one suit.
It's 2 sheep in a suit.
So whether Don was a bootlegger or not doesn't really matter. What truly matters is that Don was a master mixologist. This is absolutely true and important. And he leaned heavily into the sweet tropical rum-based drinks. A lot of drinks were rooted in one drink in particular that was already established, the Jamaican Planter's Punch. It's a Caribbean rum-based tropical drink popular in the 1920s. He used this as a template and has said that with that as the basis, created over 80 drinks are thanks to Don the Beachcomber, including the Navy Grog, the 151 Swizzle, which is the Safari Swizzle's a play on that.
I don't know. Nothing you're saying makes sense to me.
Shark's Tooth as a drink, Cobra's Fang, Tahiti Rum Punch, and his most famous concoction, the Zombie. Called that because
I've heard of that
because it puts the drinkers in a trance-like state.
Why are these so strong? Is it because of the sugar, or like why are they making these so strong?
But it's just like so much of them are like 3 types of rum and then like a bunch of sugar to mask it.
Yo ho.
So the thing with tiki drinks is like they taste delicious, and you could have 4 thinking that you're drinking like a fun tropical drink, and you're talking about like, hey, yeah, my dad uses it. He was kind of weird. And then suddenly you're crying, and then you have the worst hangover because you had so much sugar. Yeah. Don the Beachcomber's Zombie, his particular Zombie is 1.5 ounces of Jamaican rum, 1.5 ounces of Puerto Rican rum, 1.5 ounces of 150 proof rum, which is really strong. 5 ounces of Don's mix, which is grapefruit juice, 2 parts grapefruit juice, 1 part cinnamon simple syrup, 5 parts of a tropical liqueur called Failmum, 3/4 of an ounce of lime juice, 5 ounces of grenadine, 2 dashes of absinthe.
Oh my God.
And then 1 dash of Angostura bitters. So yeah, that's why it's so strong. The Zombie. Aside from that's why it'll put you in a trance-like state.
Yeah, it'll get you in your head.
Yeah. You got to shoot him in the head. Aside from having a spectacular and original drink menu, Don Beach excelled in the Polynesian vibes department. There was intricate tiki carvings. The walls were bamboo and palms and coconuts decorated with all the tiki bar trappings of nets and starfish and sea turtles and spears and masks and colorful lighting, which was dark and romantic. He would later start serving Cantonese dishes like tapa tapa, which is a tenderloin beef skewered in slender bamboo spears marinated in Chinese spices and broiled.
Why is he selling Cantonese dishes if this is supposed to be Polynesian?
I have no idea.
Sounds good.
It sounds good. I don't know why he started doing that.
I know I put it down. I'm in.
I only put the idea down because it's crossing cultures, but the food was good. How about a theme, pal? Chinese barbecue tenderloin of pork.
Why is this all Chinese food?
Because he wanted a Cantonese menu.
But why?
I don't know.
Maybe that's like Formosa Cafe selling Chinese food.
It kind of
but
is.
maybe it's like people didn't know what Polynesian food would be. So
maybe that's what it was. And he's like
vaguely Asian.
People on the island probably ate some Cantonese food once or twice if they
might
were
have
lucky.
Traveled to China once.
Sure. Soon, Hollywood is all crazy about this new kooky little spot on the boulevard. They said you could spot Chaplin there, Marlene Dietrich. David Nevin, the Marx Brothers, Bing Crosby, Vivian Lee, Clark Gable. They would all be, I don't know if they're frequent. You could see them once or twice.
I could see Clark Gable drinking a zombie.
Yeah. Quick mention for a favorite spot of mine, but in 1937, a Candyman named Loyal Damon decided to move away from sweet treats and opened up a steakhouse on Central Avenue in Glendale, later moving to Brand Boulevard. He said he was inspired by a single palm tree in the middle of Central Avenue and decided to create an island-style steakhouse where you can get a filet mignon and a Mai Tai, and the place would be named after him, Damon's.
Okay.
Damon's is one of the best ones. I went there yesterday to research.
It's like surf and turf, but like the surf is the drink.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
The turf is still the turf.
It's one of the few that I could think of sit-down restaurant tiki places that still exist in LA. The decor and vibes are immaculate, except at the bar, they're playing sports games on TV, but I was watching the Dodgers versus the Mets yesterday, so I was kind of a little bit happy. And they got this corn dog that had jalapeno in it. It was so good. But other than that, a perfect windowless bamboo-laden establishment. Go now, Damon's.
Okay. All right.
Take your wife.
See ya.
Take your girlfriend. Take your wife.
I can't take my gumar. I have to take my wife and my gumar. How can I afford that?
They both have expensive taste, which is my type of
Which
girl.
is what drew me to those beautiful ladies.
Also, we should mention another historic landmark Polynesian-themed eatery, and that was opened up in 1931 by the city hero himself, Clifford Clinton.
Oh, right.
Clifton's Pacific Seas was opened in 1931 on Olive and 6th in downtown, right across from the Cicada restaurant.
Yeah.
But then when he remodeled it and reopened it in 1939, after seeing the other places, he did it way more Polynesian. He really went for it.
Why do I remember it being like redwood trees?
I think that's Brookdale. Brookdale was always like the forest. And I think Pacific Seas, which was on Olive somewhere else, was...
Wait, what about Clifton's?
That is Cliff. There was 2 Cliftons in downtown. Possibly 3.
I'm confused now.
There was like 3 Cliftons in downtown.
Okay.
There was
What
Brookdale.
about the one we've been to?
Brookdale.
Okay, so that was the redwood forest.
That was,
one.
I believe, the Redwood Forest one. Like the
I remember
forest
there
one.
being like a fox in there.
Yeah.
I'm not just talking about my
wife.
Oh, yeah, my wife.
Oh, yeah. But the Pacific Seas was on Olive by the Cicada restaurant. It's a parking lot now. But that one was his like South Seas one,
Okay.
Polynesian. I think it was after he saw Don the Beachcomber or 7. He saw one of those and was like, I have an idea. And he went like full force. Like the outside looks like a Disneyland attraction. It looks like you're walking up to a ride. Inside, he had neon palm trees, waterfalls, bamboo columns, thatch roofed huts where you like would check out, along with a lot of artifacts. The exterior looked like a waterfall, rock formations overgrown with plant life. It looked like the set of Legends of the Hidden Temple. It's crazy that was in downtown. Like, it's absurd to me.
And if you did wait too long outside, you got slimed.
You got slimed. You got hit by a big pole.
Man.
Yeah.
Don't get gacked.
Don't get gacked, bro. Coming back at you.
If you drink more than one zombie, you will get gacked.
Walk down the wrong street in Hollywood, you're gonna get gacked. So back to Hollywood. Just
They
down.
gacked my baby.
I want my baby gacked, baby gacked, baby back. So back to Hollywood.
Gacked to Hollywood.
Gacked to Hollywood. Just down the street from Don's at 6904 Hollywood Boulevard, literally right across the street from the Man Chinese Theater, is it's now called the Cinemark Building, was the 7 Seas, which was opened by Ray Heller in 1935 as a pre-tiki establishment, but after the restaurant changed hands to Bob Brooks, ideas were borrowed from Don the Beachcomber, maybe, and the 7 Seas became a well-to-do tiki nightclub.
Wait, I'm trying to picture where this is. Isn't it Hooters right across the street?
Yeah,
from-
that plaza, like instead of like 5 buildings or 5 storefronts, it was one place, and it was the South Seas.
So it wasn't a Hooters.
No, there were owls there. The owls were watching.
Wait, what? So what? I can't picture what's directly across the street from the Chinese Theater.
It's the same building as where the Roosevelt, or no, it's between the Roosevelt and Hooters. There's just a building there.
That's a street. Oh, okay.
Like
All right.
Orange Boulevard.
It's like a Miniso or something now, or
probably.
Okay.
It's probably like Uniqlo or
Uniqlo. That's it.
Yeah, it's Uniqlo or like Trump headquarters. I don't know. Keep Jimmy Kimmel's there somewhere. I don't know. This is kind of where I get tripped up along with Trader Vic's, because it seems like Heller opens up 7 Seas, which is pre-tiki Polynesian. Trader Vic's still has Hinky Dinks. Both these are open before Don's, but Don's perfects the style and vibe so well that Brooks and Trader Vic returned to their spots and redesigned their entire layout. So while Don wasn't the first, his influence affected his predecessors.
Weird.
Kind of weird. So that's why I'm like, okay, that one was first, but it wasn't what it was later because this guy opened up.
Well, that's the same thing with the surfing stories.
Oh, is that right?
Obviously, the first person to ever surf wasn't off the Venice Beach Pier.
Oh, okay,
But
yeah.
like we reverse osmosis.
Right. We upped the ante, and then suddenly the ante was the bar.
It's like the Bene Gesserit
Oh my
godmother,
go.
the Muad'Dib's mama. absorbing
Mama Muad'Dib.
absorbing the juice of the Shai Halud, but then neutralizing it and making it some sort of horny juice for all the other followers. That's what
Horny
we did.
juice.
That's what we did to Tiki.
Well, I'll have the horny juice.
Please only drink one. You'll horny to death.
It feels like my life right now. It's just like he hornied to death. Seven Seas was adorned with tropical plants, nautical ephemera, lava rocks. There was a corrugated tin roof, which had tropical rainstorms along with thunder and lightning to give the effects.
This is the Rainforest Cafe.
It's a little bit like the Rainforest Cafe,
It's
yeah.
much like you're dining in the produce department at Ralph's.
You ever want to drag a chair over there, dim the lights a little bit, crank some Alfredo Paca, and the most prized possession at Seven Seas was the original paintings by Edgar Latigue, the father of American velvet painting, which is like you paint on velvet.
Okay. I have a Snoopy painted on velvet.
Do you really?
Yeah, I do.
I want it.
Fine.
Okay. It's Joe Cool. Oh, I don't want it then.
You don't know this guy.
Yeah. Latigue painted portraits of islanders and depictions of island life. And on soft velvet canvas, they came out really like these beautiful portraits. When he died, Brooks removed all the Latigue paintings because now the prices were skyrocketing. They were very valuable now. So he hired Latigue's protege to create new paintings in his master's style.
So is velvet painting a Tiki thing then?
I think it gets incorporated because of Seven Seas.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I guess I'm full Tiki. I own an original Snoopy.
No, you never go full Tiki. The most outlandish thing that Bob Brooks stole from Don the Beachcomber was the renowned bartender Ray Buchan. I think it's Buchan. Buhen.
Okay.
Buchan is maybe the most famous tiki bartender in Southern California, along with Don the Beachcomber or Don Beach. Ray would put his time in with Don and the Seven Seas and the China Trader and the Luau, all restaurants or restaurant bars. And eventually in 1961, Ray would open up his own bar, armed with his own cocktail concoctions he'd been building over time. And this would be Tiki Tea on Sunset near the Vista.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was thinking of the place in like Valley Village. What's that? That's the Tonga Hut. Never mind.
That's the Tonga Hut, yeah. One of the most famous tiki bars in Los Angeles. It's a family business. Buchan passed in 1961 and his son Mike and his grandson now run it. And although it's not a bar, it's more like a shack. It's like a woodshed that serves alcohol because it's so small. Their drink menu is incredible. It's one of the best. Last time I went, it was cash only, so I'm like, okay, never mind.
Cash only.
Last time I went, but COVID might have changed that. Mm-hmm. Another wonderful spot. This one opened up in 1952 on the Redondo Beach Pier. Tony's on the Pier, one of the best Mai Tais in town. They'll give you a free glass with every Mai Tai.
What's that place on the pier that I'm thinking of?
I think, and it's who owns it?
Anthony's.
Yeah, Anthony's.
Anthony's by the beach. I have not. Well, I've seen that place, and you and Melissa keep being like, "I want the cup. I want the cup." Get a life.
You get a life. You gonna buy me and your wife a cup? I am your mistress, by the way.
Yeah, you're the Kumar all along.
Yeah, he gives you a free glass with every Mai Tai. That's why I always drink 4 because I have to have the set. It was opened by San Pedro-born Anthony Trukanik, but better known as Tony T. He was a lead navigator on 25 missions in World War II, if that's what you're thinking, including D-Day. And when he returned home, he took work on as a fisherman in San Pedro, and he hated it. It was grueling and had awful hours, and it was boring. So he opened up one of my favorite bars instead.
Mm. How can you not like a fisherman's life in San Pedro?
Brother, that should have been my life. I should have left high school and joined the Navy and been like, I know how to tie knots, and be like, get out of here. I could have been Quint, but instead I'm Hooper, and I hate it.
Instead, you're the boat, and we always need a bigger one.
I was looking for a bigger one. He married his sweetener and business partner, Cora Sunny, and she helped raise the money to open up Don's. That's a cute story. How does it end? Well, they get a divorce in 1940. Cora and Dunn divorced, and she took over the business affairs since he was too cool of a guy to be bothered. And she was really good at it. She franchised it out. There was a lot of Don the Beachcombers in Southern California. There's some in the Valley too. I think in Van Nuys, and she was responsible for all that. And he went to fight in World War II. And when he came back from the war, so Min go fight in World War II.
Wait, so we're talking about Don the Beachcomber,
Don the Beachcomber,
not
Don
Tony's on the pier.
No, we're talking about now. We're talking about Don. Don and Tony both went to fight in World War II, and they came back, as did a lot of men who served. And after the war was over and the men were returning home from their life abroad.
Famously, most men returned from World War II.
There was the most return on investments, meaning men's lives. So people were coming back. Men who had served in the Pacific. And that's when the second wave of Tiki hit.
Right.
The 50s
but
or the 40s, 50s.
These two guys, you said he was in D-Day. Were they also in the Pacific, or was it just like...
I don't know if
Was D-Day in the Pacific?
Normandy, where could that be? I don't know about either one of them serving in the Pacific, but I'm saying that after World War II, all the men were returning home.
Yep.
Now it's the time to lead a leisure life because you were getting paid good money. America was prosperous again. Everybody was having backyard parties. That's when this second wave hits because people were coming back from living abroad. Some of them had served in the Pacific, and now they're like, I actually do like guava a lot now.
Got any pog?
Yeah. Don the Beachcomber opened up a lot of locations at its 7 Seas, and a long list of Polynesian and tiki bars restaurants opened up after World War II into the 50s. There was pre-Polynesian joint that opened in 1936 called The Tropics, run by Harry Shuggy Sugarman, who put his face on every matchbook I saw. But he sold it off in 1953 to Stephen Crane, and that became The Luau, which is one of the more famous ones. That was in Beverly Hills. Both establishments had some of the best menus in town, some of the best, and I don't mean dishes, I mean like the menus were great. The designs of the menus were fantastic. I've been looking at their menus.
Now they're QR codes. The best QR codes in town.
By the mid-50s, so much American popular culture was tiki or tiki adjacent. Tiki torches started selling in 1956. We all, everything was Hawaiian themed. If you were having like a summer backyard party, all the buddies would put on the Aloha shirts.
That's what I'm imagining right now. It's like every barbecue in the 50s, people are wearing Aloha shirts.
Aloha shirts.
They have tiki torches.
Exact. Tiki torches. Everyone's making like, their version of Mai Tais.
They're drinking out of a skull or whatever.
They're drinking out of a skull. We loved Island so much. Here we go. We loved island stuff so much, the country overtook 3 islands so we could have an island. And in 1959, Hawaii became our stepbrother.
We were obsessed.
What about Puerto Rico? Shut up. We don't want to play with that toy anymore.
That's Caribbean.
Yeah, the vibes are different. All through the 60s, every franchise had a chance to go Hawaiian. Every TV show had a beach episode or a luau episode.
Well, one was only about the beach.
Yeah. One episode about the Gidget was all about. I mean, Gidget's
I was
one,
talking about Gilligan's Island.
It was
famously about a beach.
Could not get off of it. Help me. The Brady Bunch had a Hawaiian episodes too. Like,
did they have a whole movie where they went to Hawaii?
I mean, in the 90s, sure. In the 90s.
True.
And just like a young Arthur Fonzarelli, tiki subculture kind of jumped the shark.
They surfed the shark.
In the late 60s, I mean, what happens to tiki culture? The 60s. Civil rights protests, Charles Manson murders, assassinations, acid freakouts, Woodstocks, and the stupid Beatles growing out their mustaches had all changed American culture, and no amount of grass skirts could save the cool Polynesian-themed eateries.
Not even Elvis?
Blue Hawaii.
Someone had one too many Mai Tais. No, Charles Manson. Someone woke up on the wrong side of the Tonga hut.
Someone woke up on the wrong side of the hitchhiker. We have talked about often.
Woke up on the wrong side of the LSD.
We have talked often about something that was really cool in the 50s, and then hippies came along, and suddenly Americans completely abandoned all the cool, kitschy things. And by the mid 70s, a lot of the tiki bars and restaurants were shutting their doors.
Yeah, it was all French Connection.
It was all tiki is just another tacky thing our parents like. But me, I like hemp pants and whatever Charlie tells me to like. In the 60s, the 7 Seas became a supper club, but it de-evolved through the 70s and eventually came into the hands of local psychopath Eddie Nash, who we talked about before.
The Fixer?
No, that's Eddie Mannix.
Oh, okay.
Eddie Nash was the drug dealer who ran a bunch of clubs and was involved in the Wonderland murders.
Oh, that Eddie
It's kind of based, the guy at the end of Boogie Nights is kind of based on Eddie Nash.
Mark
Molina. Yeah.
I mean, there's one guy at the end, the very end. That's his own character at the very end.
Say hello to my little friend.
Say that little. Goodbye, Micronesia.
Eddie Nash was found to be using the 7 Seas and the Starwood, among other clubs, to traffic drugs along with, After handing the business over to his wife, Cora, Don Beach went to live on Waikiki, where he opened up another Don the Beachcomber and became what is always claimed to be a beachcomber. He died.
What is a beachcomber exactly? Is that the guy with the metal detector? My dream.
It's just like a guy at the beach who hangs out and finds treasure in the sand. I guess like a dorky version would be the metal detector guy. A cool guy would just be like kicking rocks and be like, "Oh, what's this?"
Why would that be dorky? You have a metal detector, Greg. You're detecting metal.
Maybe I'll find a piece of aluminium. Maybe I'll find copper wires that crackheads left here at the beach. Get out of here. Don died in 1987. Clifton Pacific Seas closed in 1960s, but the remaining Cliftons on Broadway, the Brookdale one, still has a little tiki room, one of the 170 bars, which is called Pacific Seas to honor their lost brother. But in LA...
Lost in the Bermuda Triangle.
But in LA, surf and tiki never truly went away. There are pieces of it everywhere. When you're done being a punker in your 20s, you either get into rockabilly or tiki exotica, or you just die. The tiki vintage scene is alive and well, and you can find your place in it very easily. And some shout outs to places I didn't name. Well, I guess I did name Trader Sam's, which is on Downtown Disney, which is Orange County, but it's one of the best ones.
So me and Melissa went to Downtown Disney, and I was like, well, Greg says that there's this tiki place here. Yeah. It's not it's outside, like a mile away from Downtown Disney.
No,
maybe it's not a mile away, but it's outside of you don't have to go through security to get to where Trader Sam's
I know it as Downtown Disney because I crossed Downtown Disney to get to it, but it's closer to the hotel, the Disneyland Hotel.
Okay. I guess that's okay.
Idiot. Tunga Hut in North Hollywood is one of the best spots. It's very atmospheric. It's very cool.
That's the one I've been to.
Yeah, you've been to that one. Purple Orchid in where's Miley Wurlitzer by the beach?
El Segundo?
El Segundo. There's a Purple Orchid on that same street, like a block away from...
we went in there after...
We did.
Okay, so I've been there. Okay, I've been to two. What about that one that's on Lancashire in North Hollywood? There's another tiki place.
There is one. I don't know that one as well. There's one... there's one on Magnolia that's bad, but there's one on Lancashire that's good. I don't know that one as well.
Magnolia that's bad.
We should go to it right now. And then there's, of course, the one I went to in Bakersfield, Tiki Co. and Sinking Ship.
You've got your real ID pass to leave Los Angeles County.
I'm never coming back. I'm never coming back. And that's a very brief summary of tiki culture in Los Angeles.
Wow.
Yeah.
Man. You really culturally appropriated this one.
You really culturally appropriated this time, pal.
I can't believe I let him go on for 40 minutes just blatantly appropriating another culture.
Saying that Brian Wilson came up with carvings on wooden poles.
The first man in New Zealand was Dennis Wilson. This is what you said? Wow.
Wow, on record too. Not even blankly.
So now we have we talked about what you landlubbers like about the Polynesian culture. You know what? It's time to put the paddle to the
maddle,
which is Hawaiian for water.
Yeah.
So let's talk surfing now. Everybody's learning now. Google and Safari with me, or Safari for me. That's what I meant to say. Because Safari is a surf engine.
Surf engine, here I come.
Well, we're going on. We're using a surf engine. It could be worked on.
Yeah.
But I have sold the rights to that parody already.
Based on 3 words.
So the history of surfing in LA is a big thing to tackle, or should I say, a big wave to water tackle.
So never mind. Cancel the episode. I don't care anymore.
I've been begging you, don't break the glass and drink the second Mai Tai. You're going to want to be here for this. But there are specific people and moments that can be exactly pinpointed as being the starting points and great leaps forward for the sport of surfing and the culture that grew around it in Los Angeles. Because when we first discussed this episode, you were like, how can you possibly do a history of surfing? Well, guess what?
I listened to every Beach Boys record.
Twice and backwards. They told me to kill the president. A parody. It was a different president back then.
It was they told me to kill JFK, which is, I think I get the Secret Service agent who shot him now.
They didn't say which K.
They didn't say which K.
There's still a few Ks around. So fade in on a sleepy Polynesian village. You didn't even... we salute to Aloha Hawaii. You didn't quite get into how the music was related to the tiki culture, which it is.
It is, yeah. I wanted to get into Exotica a little bit more because, that had a huge
what's
wave.
The... Sleepwalk.
Sleepwalk, yeah. Steel guitar.
That's a tiki kind of song.
It is.
Elvis is the king of tiki.
Tiki, yeah. It's the Hawaiian steel guitar leads to Santo and Johnny.
Yeah.
And a lot of that sort of thing. Exotica, like Skip Haller's group, and there's a lot of other Tikiaki Orchestra. There's a lot of groups that cashed in
callously on a different culture's music.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. But it's all good.
What's the word I'm looking for?
Yeah. God. No, I didn't talk about music enough.
Yeah, well,
Martin Denny.
Well, neither am I. So the first recorded references to people surfing on the ocean waves appeared in Polynesia as far back as the 12th century.
Whoa!
That's when they started doing it.
Oh my God. Surf City is actually about that.
Surf City was a real place that was covered with water. If you swim down there, you might find some sex wax. Around that same time was when they brought surfing, the Polynesian people, There's so many words I'm going to mispronounce. He analu, or wave sliding, as it translated to, that's what they call it. Like, it wasn't known as surfing seemingly till like definitely 20th century, like maybe even like closer to the mid.
Yeah.
But he analu was what they called it, to the new land. They brought this to the new land that they had discovered, Hawaii.
Okay.
California doesn't get its first kiss of that bodacious board life until July 19th, 1885, in the land where banana slugs rule, Santa Cruz.
Whoa, really?
Three Princes, which is the original name of my favorite band. Wait, no, that's not the band. That's the Spin Doctors. Their song is Two Princes. Sorry. The Spin Doctors brought boogie boarding to California.
You're right. If I had to name a Mount Rushmore of musical artists,
surf legends,
it would be Three Princes and then a blank spot.
Those were the Spin Doctors, Greg. Their song was Two Princes, okay? So there was Three Princes.
Two princes for everyone. Go ahead, sorry.
Two princes for every queen. That's what the king would allow. So Three Princes of the Hawaiian royal family. Okay, this is where the names. Their first names are easy. David my God, I should have read through these before.
You should have phonetically spelled them like I do.
David Kawana Nanakawa, Jonah Kalaniana Ole, and Edward Kelly Honui. That was pretty good.
That was pretty good.
That was for a cold reading. My researcher wrote this for me.
My first time looking at these words.
We're on a visit to Santa Cruz, and they decided to shred it up.
Whoa.
And they built surfboards out of wood and became the first people to surf in California.
Wow,
These three princes.
1888?
1885, you idiot. Completely wrong.
You hack.
Now pronounce their names right now. Were you even listening?
Wow, Jack the Ripper was killing in Whitechapel. And
isn't that weird to think about?
I always think about that.
It's like even in our own country, like there's like the Reconstruction South,
right?
All of the KKK is emerging, and then in Santa Cruz,
yeah. I mean, there's always those things where like linking historical things and what year, like. But, you know, Anne Frank and Martin Luther King were born in the same year. And you're like,
that's
what?
Weird.
Oh, yeah, that one died. She would have.
They both died. Sorry to break it. Hate to break it to you, Greg. You didn't finish either of their books, did you?
How can you write a diary?
How could he have written a diary?
He died.
I'm reading Martin Luther King, the diary of a teenage black man. But it's not about where you were born. It's about where you were. Wait. Yeah.
It actually is about where you were.
Wait. I forgot what country we live in. But it's not about where you were born. It's about where you were in Los Angeles. The first person to surf in Los Angeles was the legendary George Freeth. Do you know this name?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, well, what am I doing here? He was born in Honolulu in 1883 to an Irish dad and a Polynesian mom, and grew up to be considered Hawaii's best surfer. Mm-hmm. He was so well known that in 1907, he gave a surf lesson in Hawaii to Jack London.
Whoa.
Who went on to write an essay about Freeth called Riding the South Sea Surf, in which he described Freeth as a sea god and a brown Mercury.
Jack London.
The call of the Cowabunga.
Cow of the Wild, yeah.
The call of the wild, which was Cowabunga. But as is the curse of all surfers, you're always on the hunt for a new tasty wave. Mm-hmm. This was the drive that directed him straight to a new emerging city he heard about on the mainland, right along the ocean with beach neighborhoods, Los Angeles. Not Jack London. I'm talking about George Freeth.
Sorry, yeah. I thought you were talking about Jack London.
Jack London went and disappeared into the Klondike or whatever he did. So also he tried snow surfing. So also in 1907, he came out here and became the first person to surf in Los Angeles. George Freeth was in Venice.
He went to Venice.
That was the first place it happened. But he came to not only surf a brand new patch of ocean, but also to teach anyone who was interested in what he was doing.
Okay.
And in fact, Freeth did end up giving a lot of free surfing lessons to curious bystanders. So he was preaching the gospel of surf.
The missionary mission.
Which is a cool move. They say it's like the most boring move. I think missionary is the coolest.
And hottest. Have you seen Endless Summer?
I have. I watched it for our documentary episode.
Oh, that's right. You did watch it.
And that ties into the latter part of this story. But it is that sort of drive of like, I got to find bigger way. I got to find more
But also
waves.
like, where do they go? They go to I forget what country in Africa, but then like they're
Oh,
showing
the really racist part?
the really racist part, but they're showing like people on the beach like, oh, this is surfing. And then they're like stealing the surfboard to like, I want to try, but also like they're just grabbing pieces of wood. Like I could figure this out.
Yeah, well, that is what surprised me most of this research of like, you just build a surfboard, like you just get wood and build a surfboard.
I surfed on a foam board and that was heavy. I can't see taking a giant
foam board.
Yeah, I
You
can't
were
see.
boogie boarding.
I was boogie
Come
boarding.
on, Greg.
The way I did it, it was boogie boarding. But I can't see like carrying a big heavy piece of glazed metal out there to the ocean.
That's part of the story. It's crazy what these old boards were like. So he was also, George Freeth also taught people water safety and gave ocean survival lessons as well to these people. He was even hired as California's first professional lifeguard in Redondo Beach in 1909.
Didn't know that.
For all those people who had 2 Mai Tais at Tony's on the pier.
I'm going to go for a swim.
George. And California needed him. Just one example, on December 16th, 1908, a group of fishermen, 9 were Japanese, 2 were Russian, that had come down to Venice to fish from the little fishing village of Maikura, which was near Pacific Palisades. They were there fishing, when a storm blew in.
Whoa.
The waters became so choppy that their boat couldn't get back to shore, but have no fear, George Freeth is here.
What?
He jumped off the Venice pier into the raging ocean, swam over to their boat, and dragged them back 2 or 3 at a time through the water to the shore, then ran back along the pier, jumped off again, dragged more back, ran along the pier, jumped off again, until all the men and 3 others from another boat, he saved them all from drowning in this storm.
That's crazy.
Every single man survived this experience, and the next day they presented him with $50, a gold watch, a donation to the volunteer lifeguards, and they renamed their fishing village to Port Freeth.
Wow.
He saved this village, but that wasn't
crazy.
all. For his heroism, he was awarded the Congressional Gold Medal, which is the highest civilian award in the United States for saving all these men.
Earned it.
Earned this.
Earn this.
Earn this.
Earn this $50.
And that's what our life is worth. $50 and a gold watch we want back. But
can you set it for me?
We need to change the battery. We don't know. You're good at surfing. We thought maybe you're good at this too. But his skills weren't just being used to save lives. This was early 20th century Los Angeles, after all. So his skills were also used to sell land.
Hell yeah. The most important thing in Los Angeles.
Who were 2 of the big names in that part of town at the time? Abbott Kinney, Henry Huntington.
That's right.
They were both running crazy promotions and marketing gimmicks, as we know, to draw, and in Huntington's case, literally transport via train people to the area so they could see how nice it was and buy some land by the ocean. And with such a unique talent in their midst, both of these men hired Freeth to do surfing demonstrations off their respective stretches of the ocean at Kinney's Venice Beach and Huntington's aforementioned Redondo Beach. Yokels would take Huntington's red cars from downtown out to his Hotel Redondo by the sea on the weekends, and while they were there, they'd get to see demonstrations from the Hawaiian wonder who could walk on water, aka George Freeth. So he was.
No wonder surfing was so easy. He walked on water. Go ahead.
Well, he was Jesus. This was. He died for our. He died for our surfs.
He died for our fins. Yeah, like that.
I do like that.
That's. You said that he was used as a marketing ploy. I'm like, those pigs, and then hearing that, I'm like, I would have done that.
Oh yeah,
I would have
bought all of Lawndale if I saw George Freeth surfing. So he'd do tricks on his board, like jumping into the air, do a somersault, land back on the board, and then dive off the board into the water. So he'd do these crazy things.
That sounds like people like the plane daredevils or whatever they're called, air daredevils.
The like black cats or whatever, which was also buy an airport. So then they'd all go and buy land or whatever. Like they'd be so hot and bothered by seeing what could happen in the water. So like the railways and the freeways and the water and pretty much everything else in LA history, surfing was also used as a tool to sell real estate from literally the first person to do it here. Like from man one, they were like, we can market this. Sadly,
California, LA.
You're doing this for passion? I'm going to cash in on it. Sadly, George Freeth's story didn't last too long because he died on April 17th, 1919 from, you guessed it, the Spanish flu at age 35.
God, 10 years later?
Yeah, he didn't last long.
Wow, that's awful.
And they threw his body straight into the biggest wave they could find.
He would have wanted this.
So do another trick. Spanish flu is a drink that Don the Beachcomber made. He had one too many. So today there's a bust of him at the Redondo Beach Pier, which you can get all sorts of
Whoa.
flus from touching that one. Luckily, the Spanish flu didn't kill surfing because what Freeth did paved the way for the next wave of surfers. And the biggest name right next to George Freeth was actually a friend of his who is a legend in his own right. You probably know this name too. And I also, I read it so many times in my head, but now I'm going to forget it. Duke Kahanamoku. Duke Kahanamoku.
The Duke, they mentioned him in Dogtown, I think.
Do they?
Yeah.
He's considered to be the father of modern surfing.
yeah.
He was born, and I guarantee nothing will ever be mispronounced on this show as what I'm about to say here. This was his birth name. Duke. All right, I got that.
Of Earl?
Duke Kahanamoku. Duke Paoa Kahinu Moko Hulikohola Kahanamoku.
Okay.
That was his full name.
Yeah.
Also in Honolulu, he was born in 1890 and was an Olympic champion.
Whoa, I didn't know that.
He won a gold and a silver medal in swimming at the 1912 Stockholm Olympics. Later, 2 gold medals at the 1920 Antwerp Olympics, a silver at the 1924 Paris Olympics, and a bronze in water polo at the 1932 LA Olympics.
Wow, okay.
He's
We
actually...
gave him a bronze?
Yeah,
That
we gave him a
sucks.
bronze.
Yeah.
He lost his touch. He's actually the one who developed the kicking you do when freestyle swimming.
Oh, wow, really?
He developed that.
No way.
But back in 1912, he was one of the most famous athletes in the world. And like Freeth before him, he became a sort of ambassador of the sport of surfing. He was the Michael Phelps of
not drowning.
he was the Michael Phelps of water.
I remember the Dogtown Boys talking about seeing Duke in movies, and he would put his hand on top of he would like dip his hand in the water as he was surfing, and they were like, "We're gonna do that now."
Yeah.
A bunch of white boys
I'm
from
going to
Venice.
do that, but on pavement.
Oh, pavement, yeah.
And that's how they all lost their hands. We'll get into his film career a little bit.
Okay.
We won't talk about those nasty Z-boys, though. We will talk extensively about rocket power, though. So he spread his surfing to Australia in 1914, but in 1913, he was in LA giving surfing demonstrations as well. He gave a show to a crowd of thousands of people watching in Long Beach as he did things like hitting golf balls off of his board in the water.
Oh my God.
And then he put a dog on there, and the dog surfed too, and the dog won a bronze as well.
But actually, there was something in the rulebook saying that dog could not win for surfing.
Yeah, that's why he only got a bronze.
Yeah, so we'll give him bronze, though, just for showing up, for being a good boy. The bronze was for good boy.
So he actually got a job as a lifeguard there as well in Long Beach. One time, he and a couple other surfers, again, saved 12 people whose yacht capsized by using their surfboards, which is why paddle boards or surfboards are part of standard equipment of a lifeguard now.
Wow.
Because of this incident that he was
Interesting.
able to.
You know, I always wondered about that. I always thought it was for like, we got to do patrol.
I thought it was for Pamela Anderson. But yeah, no,
Put her we kind of put that body underwater where horny boys can't see it. Give her a paddleboard.
make her swim on her back.
top.
So yeah, that's why paddleboards or surfboards are
Interesting.
standard issue. But
Very good.
having these Hawaiian surfer guys as lifeguards was working out so well for Long Beach that in 1918 they considered hiring exclusively Hawaiians as their lifeguards.
Let's not go crazy. I kind of like the thought, but like, meh. You can make them whatever you want. They can do whatever they want.
No, they can only be Hawaiians, and they have to be really hot also. So Duke didn't think much of the landscape of LA at the time as he did demonstrations like this up and down the Southern California coast. He said there was nothing there but oil wells.
That's pretty funny.
Yeah,
He's not wrong, you know.
It's true.
It's true.
Yeah, what of it, Duke?
Too good for oil wells?
Yeah, more like punk Kahanamoku. But still, he couldn't resist the call, and in the 20s moved to LA permanently to try his hand at acting. He didn't make much of an impact in movies, except for with the Z-Boys.
Yeah.
But what he really impacted was the seeds of a surf culture in LA. Around this time, it was estimated that in all of California, the number of people who would be considered surfers was somewhere around 30 people.
Wow.
But Duke, with his fame and his showcases, created an awareness and a general public interest in the idea of surfing.
Yeah.
He also brought with him the slang, laid-back personality, and the Hawaiian music that you associated with surfing. So he became the template personality-wise that all surfers after him modeled themselves after.
It's funny because a lot of surfing movies will have like, they'll have the, but they'll have like,
That's
like
my
the
Elvis.
beach bum who like, you know, the big kahuna or whatever, who just like surfs all the time and is the ultra macho Hawaiian type, but they always make him white. But I'm like, oh, it would have been like Duke.
Yeah, I mean, they eventually did become a bunch of white boys, but they were all imitating Duke. So far, we had George Freeth, who brought surfing to LA, then Duke Kahanamoku, who set the template for what we know surfing to be.
Mm-hmm.
Then comes the competition and innovation stage of the story of surfing. The first ever surf contest in Southern California was the Pacific Coast Surf Riding Championships in 1928, but it was in Orange County.
Oh my.
Yeah, all right. Here's my real ID. We're talking about Orange County. But of course, most of the people competing in this were the good guys coming down from LA.
Oh, okay.
Who brought with them technological innovations that can be traced back to one very important LA industry, aerospace.
Oh,
early surfboards.
Interesting.
They were literally, like we were talking about, slabs of wood. They looked like coffins and they weighed up to 200 pounds.
Right.
I don't understand how you could surf on a 200-pound slab of wood.
No.
But then came the aerospace engineers. A few of these nerdlingers caught Kahanamoku fever, and which was not the same as Spanish flu. That's Freeth fever. It's different. And they took up surfing themselves in their free time. And since engineers can never turn off their brains, they started coming up with new ideas. And a few of these nerdlingers were in this 1928 contest in Orange County. One was a Lockheed employee named Gerard Volti, who had helped design the plane that Amelia Earhart used to cross the Atlantic.
Wow.
What was significant about that plane was that it had hollow wings. That's why she was able to do it. Now, Volti didn't
Hollow bones. That's a 30 Rock joke. Go ahead.
30 Rock was the first surf sitcom. That's why we can talk about this.
Sorry.
Now, Volti didn't do anything with this information, but what he seemed to have done was talk about the possibilities of it to another person in the contest, Tom Blake. So Tom Blake is maybe number 3 in the line of influential LA surf legends, and we're going to get back to him, but seemingly from listening to what Volti had to say, he got the idea to drill hundreds of tiny holes in his heavy-ass coffin board and then seal them over, which made the board like infinitely lighter.
That's such a garage surf band's hit song is a coffin board. Go ahead.
Well, I was thinking about, like, isn't that what the Kinks did? Of like they stabbed their amps
to make it that sound, that beautiful sound that
that the Kinks played at the Sydney Opera House. Just a year later, Blake took this hollow wing idea even further by making a similarly designed hollow surfboard, which he then patented in 1932 and then licensed to the Thomas Rogers Company in Venice, which specialized in, you guessed it, making airplane wings.
Wow.
So he was innovating this. But around this time also was another surfing nerdlinger named Robert Simmons, who worked for Douglas Aircraft, who at the time was experimenting with resins, foams, and a hot new invention, fiberglass.
Fiberglass. I was waiting for you to say the words fiberglass.
Simmons then applied these to his own designs of surfboards made of these materials that he tested out in Caltech's torpedo tanks.
Oh my God.
That were not only lighter, but stronger. So now we're much closer to what we would now recognize as a surfboard because of these aerospace engineers.
Okay.
Jumping forward a little bit, since we're on the topic of the technology side of surfing, there were a few people in town who in the 50s and 60s completely modernized the surfboard, but the one who they all revolve around was named Dave the Hawk Velzy.
Okay.
He was born in 1927 in Hermosa Beach and got the nickname The Hawk because he could always spot quarters people dropped in the sand at the beach. So if you're trying to tell me that a guy with a metal detector isn't cool, you're telling me a guy with the nickname The Hawk isn't cool? A guy with quarters isn't cool?
I guess no one that parks in the city, huh?
Yeah.
You don't go to meters?
How are you going to surf if you don't have quarters for the meter, dork? The Hawk.
Lame-o.
So he caught...
It's more of a crow.
The man...
You're picking up shiny objects off the ground and collecting them. You're a effing crow.
He's more of the magpie of... The man who has the quarters controls the culture, Greg. He controls the cultural conversation. So he got caught up in the Kahanamoku mania of the 1930s and took up surfing, and he became more fascinated with the boards themselves.
Okay.
By the age of 10, he was already shaping his own boards, as they called it, and created a new type of shape called pig, which is the kind you see all the Beach Boys holding together.
Oh, right. Okay.
All as one.
Yeah.
Like that sort of like that, that sort of, well, how would pig shape? I don't know. That quickly became the standard shape of a surfboard, the pig shape.
I just read a thing.
The Hawk invented.
I just read a thing that they were almost, it was a Mike Love suggestion, so it wasn't a good suggestion, but they were almost called the Pelotons because they loved Pendleton, the wool shirts a lot. And that cover, that famous cover where they're all holding the board, they're all wearing the same they're all wearing the same outfit. But they have Pendleton, and Pendleton liked that so much that now it's called they're called board shirts, but they call it the Beach Boy board shirt, and it's a replica of that cover.
Everyone's just copying each other. I'm stealing from you. You can steal it back from me. It's much like the Muad'Dib's mama taking. I am taking the poison of my glove and then making it orgy juice for all of you in the 60s. So like you call it free love juice. So Velzy the Hawk, he made them out of redwood and balsa, which made these surfboards very, very light. Mm-hmm. By 1950, he opened Velzy Surfboards at 117 Manhattan Beach Boulevard, just before you get to the pier. It's the Strand House or something.
Oh, right.
That's there now, but which is considered, this store, the world's first dedicated surf shop.
Okay.
Was right there at the Manhattan Beach Pier. Out of this shop, Velzy became the first person to put a name on a surfboard, make a t-shirt of a surf company, and sponsor a surfer.
Wow.
All happened here.
That's great.
Working with Velzy was Dudley Hap Jacobs, because he happened to be on the beach when he found a quarter. Dudley Hap Jacobs, who was born in 1933, also in Hermosa Beach and went to El Camino College. Mm-hmm. He started focusing on making these lighter surfboards more maneuverable so that people could do more advanced tricks, which created a sort of hot dog style of showy surfing that became the signature South Bay style, the hot dog style.
Hot dog style, hot dogging it.
Hot dogging it. Man, that sounds good right now.
It sounds good right now.
You know what sounds really good?
Yeah, hot dog.
A pig surfboard, a bunch of quarters. I found a bunch of quarters on the beach. We can go buy pig hot dogs. So then in 1953, he branched off from Velzy and opened his own shop with a guy named Bev Morgan called Dive and Surf in Redondo Beach. Then Hap Jacobs split off from Bev Morgan and opened another shop in 1959 called Jacobs Surfboards in Hermosa Beach, which became a huge deal in the 60s and 70s as it became the brand desired by all the surfing pros. They wanted this guy's stuff. This sparked a bunch of imitators around him in Hermosa Beach, which eventually had so many surfboard shaping shops that in the 60s, the stretch of the PCH that went through there became known as Shaper's Alley.
Shaper's Alley, cool.
There was Bing Copeland's Bing Surfboards that opened in Manhattan Beach in 1959, which are still a pretty big deal today. But aside from just the surfboard itself, there was also innovations in the uniform of a surfer at this time. That Bev Morgan, who had opened a shop with Hap Jacobs, was a big proponent of wetsuits, which at the time were viewed by surfers as being for sissies. You need to get stung by octopus. You need to get strangled by octopuses. You need to get stung by jellyfish. You need to feel the cold. That's how these surfers felt.
Yeah. I wore one when I went.
Did you get pantsed?
I got pantsed.
By
It took
a turtle.
45 minutes to pants me. It's really hard to get out of that. But it really does.
Mostly skin.
I went surfing at 8:30 in the morning.
I can't imagine how cold it is.
My feet were freezing, but my body, I was sweating.
Well, that's because you were too afraid to actually get in the water.
Yeah, that's true.
You were sweating because there was a shark circling you. You were supposed to be cold and pruny when you surf. Yeah. This is how they saw it.
God, macho stuff. It's so annoying.
Back then, only divers wore wetsuits, but Bev Morgan paid some sponsored competition surfers to wear a wetsuit, and then suddenly everyone wanted a wetsuit. Then came
he looks like a ninja surfing.
That guy looks so cool. That sissy looks so cool. Then came in two twins, Bob and Bill Meistrel, who not only were the smallest lifeguards in LA history, but they teamed up with Dale Velzy in his Manhattan Beach shop and brought to him another space-age material making the rounds, neoprene, which is a kind of insulated rubber.
Right.
They thought this could be a good material for a wetsuit, so they made one out of it that they called the Dive and Surf Thermocline, which was the world's first successful commercial wetsuit. Eventually, they renamed this to the brand we know it as today, Body Glove.
Oh my God.
So that also came out of this shop in Manhattan Beach. Body Glove, the glove of sissies. They now have a statue in Redondo, and I hope it's the smallest one in LA history. And as more
stepping on that statue
I tripped over this parking. And as more availability to surfboards came and the sport grew, more competitions came with that as well. The first big surf competition in LA itself was on December 11th, 1938 in Long Beach. The National Surfing and Paddleboard Championships held between the Rainbow Pier and the Pike with over 100 competitors and a crowd of 40,000 people came to watch this.
At the Pike?
So people were getting into surfing.
Yeah. In December?
In December.
They had a competition to surf in
it's Long Beach. There is no December. It's June all year round. Let's go surfing now in December now.
I'm really... I want to go home.
I had to pee on me to keep me warm. So the women's division was won by a Hollywood stunt woman named Marianne Hawkins.
Hawkins?
The Hawk. Named so because she married
the Hawkins,
yeah. The men's was won by a lifeguard from Santa Monica named Preston Peterson. And as the sport grew and personalities began to emerge, so did surfing clubs start to dot the coastline. Pretty much every beach had its own club. Both the man and the woman who won this competition were surfing on behalf of their club, the Del Mar Surfing Club.
That's famous now.
It is? Is it?
Yeah.
Well,
wow.
Whoa, man.
Whoa, sick. Oh, wow, tubular, bodacious. The Manhattan Beach Surf Club had its headquarters clubhouse under the pier. The most organized of these was the Palos Verdes Surf Club, which started as early as 1935. It had about 30 members, but to get in, you had to be a respectable man who wore a suit and a tie and have a job.
Weird.
They also wore matching green jackets with their logo on it as they walked up to the beach. I thought that they wore them all while they were surfing when I first read it. Oh, yes, this is rather tubular. They had a weekly newsletter. Their leader was John Heath Doc Ball, who was a dentist in Hermosa and also became one of the first surf photographers.
Oh, wow. Okay.
He started taking pictures of people surfing in the South Bay in 1931, and in 1946 published a book of his photos called California Surf Writers. Another guy from this club named Leroy Granis became known as the godfather of surf photography and started International Surfing Magazine in 1964. And from all this came breakthrough personalities. There was Dewey Weber, who was born in Venice in 1938 and also went to El Camino College. By the late 50s, he became one of the top surfers in the world and started Dewey Weber surfboards, which became one of the big brands in the 60s and 70s.
One of the best designs, too, of a surfboard.
You know
graphically,
these Dewey
yeah, I know
Webers?
Dewey Weber surfboards, and they're graphically, like they just look, they're great to look at.
So it makes a shark really want to eat you.
Yeah,
like,
it's
wow,
dying,
this really looks delicious.
I'm gonna eat. I love this graphic design so much. I'm gonna eat it.
We've all been there.
Hey, I've been to Disneyland.
There was Mike Doyle, born in LA in 1941, also went to El Camino College.
Cool.
He won the 1963 United States Surfing Championship in Huntington Beach, and new styles began to emerge as well. There was the hot dogging style I mentioned. The stretch of beach at the northmost part of Playa del Rey started being known as Toes Over Beach or Toes Beach or Toes, not because it was Quentin Tarantino's favorite beach, but because the toes over move, where you hang your toes over the front of the board, was invented there, also known as Hanging 10.
Hanging 10.
That was invented at Playa
funny.
del Rey Beach. But all of this, the style, the culture, the innovation was distilled in one particular part of LA, the Boo, Malibu.
Malibu.
The first
Malibu Barbie. Yeah.
The first surfing Barbie, Malibu Barbie. The first time Malibu was surfed was in 1926 by Sam Reed and the guy I said a couple pages back I'd get to, Tom Blake, the one who
Right.
drilled the holes in the board.
Right.
If you recall, Blake was the guy who drilled the holes in the board and then patented a design for a hollow surfboard, but he was also the first surf author. He wrote Hawaii
wow.
Surfboards in 1935. He was the first guy to use a waterproof camera and also invented the fin that are on surfboards.
Wow. Okay.
That was Tom Blake. The only thing in the world this guy cared about was surfing. So come 1926, he wanted to try something new. So he and Reed headed up north to try surfing on that other part of the shoreline. But there was a problem. Malibu was private property at the time.
Right.
Since 1892, most of the land was Rancho Malibu, owned by Frederick and Mary Ringe. By 1926, they had started renting out plots of their beachside property exclusively to the Hollywood elite. By started, I mean forced, because the local courts sued them to allow for public access to the beach. But to keep things as exclusive as possible, they built a stone wall around the parts of the shore that were still their private property and hired armed cowboys to guard the entire area. And they got Black Bart.
Nah.
They got
Blue Bart. They got Green
They
Bart.
got Red Bart, Green Bart, Red Light, Green Bart. They had Tuberculosis Joe. So to actually be able to surf here at the time, Blake and Reed had to stop at the stone perimeter and then traveled the final 2 miles in the water on their boards to Malibu Point, where the surfing was actually
Wow.
good. In the 1940s, the Ringe family needed money, so they started selling off more and more of their land until eventually access to the beach became easy. And as the PCH got more and more completed and paved, Malibu slowly became a viable surfing destination.
Yeah.
Part of that security wall is still there, at least before the fires. I'm not sure now.
Yeah.
And it became this iconic spot for surfers to rest their surfboards against. Like you'll see a ton. If you Google Stone Wall Malibu, you'll see this picture.
I'm sure I've seen the photo before, yeah.
So now around the late 40s, early 50s, surfers in the know who wanted to get away from the growing crowds in the South Bay started relocating to Malibu, which was then sort of a secluded surfing paradise. The scenery was like, the mountains right there and the mostly undeveloped lands. You felt like you were in some coastal paradise. You didn't feel like you were in Los Angeles.
Yeah.
This drew in people like Bill Jensen, Matt Kivlin, Jerry Hurst, Johnny Fain, Billy Al Moondoggy Bankston, Terry Michael Tubesteak Tracy, who lived in a shack on the sand, and their leader, Mickey DeCat Dora, aka the Cary Grant of surfers.
And a little
we'll get to
little
her.
pipsqueak
We'll
girl.
get to her.
Okay.
Save it. This is boy time. This is a man's sport for now. For
at least another 3 lines.
for like half a paragraph. This is a man's boys club. So he was the one with the looks, this Mickey DeCat Dora,
Yeah.
but he would also pickpocket his fellow surfers.
Dick.
He had a tuxedo he'd put on to crash Hollywood parties and rob their homes.
It's kind of funny.
It is pretty funny.
The first one's bad. The second one's good.
He's the Robin Hood of surfers, but he would also rob the poor people. But most importantly, not from a sporting aspect, but from a cultural aspect in Malibu, was a one, little pipsqueak, Kathy Koner. The boys club is over. A 5-foot-tall, 15-year-old girl from Brentwood who one day in 1956 went down to Surfrider Beach in Malibu and started following these guys around and basically worshipped them.
Yeah.
She brought them sandwiches to get on their good side, and she started to learn to surf herself. In return, the boys hazed her, threw her board over the fences so she couldn't get it. They threw pineapples at her as she surfed, and Jerry Hurst gave her the not entirely nice nickname we all know her by, Gidget. But she wasn't the only girl surfing in Malibu at the time. There was Mary Hughes, Kathy Kessler, Eugenia Wilson, and together in the late 50s and early 60s, all of them created in Malibu this hotbed of surf culture that solidified everything we think of when we think of surf culture. It came out of this scene in Malibu.
Yeah.
They'd literally live on the beach. They'd start surfing at sunup. They'd work like 3 hours a day to make enough money for food and then surf until sundown the rest.
And then they would
day.
have like a bongo campfire.
They would burn tires on the beach for work. Like they'd play ukuleles. Like it was proto hippies.
It is very like end of beatnik, beginning of hippie, but they're from Southern California, so they surf.
Yeah.
They're rich.
They're so rich. They pickpocket from, they stole John Wayne's precious lamp collection. They came up with the slang we recognize as being surf slang, that the words stoked and bitchin' came out of Malibu in the 50s. Weird to say, knowing that they burned tires on the beach for warmth, but they also had an environmentalist aspect to their lives, or at least a oneness with nature was a part of their whole thing. It represented a different type of freedom that the dominant counterculture of the 60s was striving for, but it was still kind of hand in hand with a freedom outside the norm that people in the 60s were so desperately looking for.
Yeah.
So it was kind of like, it was counterculture, but it was like kind of the flip side of like it was a different sort of counterculture.
It's a counterculture that seemed to have a smile on its face, as opposed to an
LSD induced smile.
Yeah.
This was a reefer smile. Also, from a surfing standpoint, they developed new designs on surfboards that allowed for more control, that created a distinct Malibu style of surfing. It was the golden age of surfing, and that was all about to change thanks to our little pipsqueak friend, Gidget. In 1957, Gidget's dad wrote a book about his daughter's love of surfing called Gidget, the little girl with big ideas. The book was a pretty big hit, selling 2 million copies, and then the movie came out in 1959, and suddenly everybody in the country wanted to come to Malibu to surf or just to see the characters from the story. Pre-Gidget, there were only about 50 people part of the Malibu scene, but post-Gidget, every day they would be swarmed with tourists.
It's the on the road of 60s surfing in Los Angeles. Yeah.
It's the incense and peppermints. It has killed the counterculture. The real life surfers hated all the new attention, but at the same time, they kind of loved all the new attention. They got girls were fawning over these boys, and they also got bit roles in all the Gidget imitator movies and the TV episodes that you were talking about that followed. Waxploitation, they called this.
That's funny.
That is fun. The Beach Boys started singing about it, which spread the surfing ethos further than anybody could ever have imagined, though Dennis was the only one who actually surfed.
Only one that surfed.
And the timing was just right for surfing to really take off in LA. There was an emerging middle class in the city that included kids growing up with pools where they learned how to swim, easy access to the beach, and lots of free time.
Yes.
So you're going to start surfing. And as with anything that ever happened in LA, cars were a big part of it.
Oh, yes, they were.
Even the new lightweight surfboards were hard to lug around places, not if you could strap them to the top of a car and drive to the beach.
Oh, and also the image of a nice convertible with a surfboard sticking out the back seat is so iconically LA.
Yeah, it was all just being built up. And so while Gidget and the Beach Boys did wonders for the sport of surfing, it totally ruined the local scene of surfing, especially in Malibu. All the originals were driven out by the new crowds, even in The Endless Summer in 1966. Part of the conceit of that is that these guys wanted to find a new place to surf around the world because LA got too crowded, which ironically spread surfing to an even wider audience, this documentary.
We want to ruin everywhere.
I also want to ruin South Africa, which is perfect.
I didn't do anything wrong.
So then surfing got caught up in the machine, and in the 70s got more corporatized and became more about competitions than the lifestyle and the community. And that became a bigger and bigger part of it as we get to the present day, whatever year this is. So surfing really got out of LA's hands and kind of became not just our thing, but its own thing, which it was Polynesia and then Hawaii's thing first. And also it was never our thing, which is kind of the point of surfing itself. You can't control the wave, just ride it while you can. Coastal development up and down LA also put an end to some of the best surfing we had. The paving of the river channels and anti-erosion rock jetties dissipated most of the good waves that were coming in pretty much from Long Beach until you get to Malibu.
I didn't even think about that.
In 2010, Surfrider Beach was named as the world's first world surfing reserve. There's a surfing walk of fame on the Hermosa Beach Pier, and surfing is the official sport of California.
Didn't know that.
There's a lot of tangible ways you can still connect to the surfing history of LA, but one of them is maybe more terrifying to me than actually going into the water. And I don't know how viable this still is due to the fires again, but if Duke's Malibu, which is named after Duke Kahanamoku, it's a restaurant, if it's still open, I don't know what happened with the fires, as of 2018, Gidget herself, Kathy Koner, was working there as a hostess.
Oh my God, we have to go.
If she's still there, and if Dukes is still there, we're going to see Gidget.
I want to shake Gidget's hand.
Gidget,
thank you for what you've done to this
I'm
country.
going to throw a pineapple at her. Thank you. You're not Susan Sarandon. Susan Sarandon.
Sally Field. You're not Sandra Dee or...
Well, guess what? She's also not Susan Sarandon.
You're not one of the 8 girls who played Gidget.
Which one of them might be Susan Sarandon?
We never looked into it.
That's what I say to every hostess. You're not Susan Sarandon. You can't tell me what to do. You're not Susan Sarandon. So yeah, that's that. I feel like I encapsulated the...
You did.
I did a good summary because it's a sprawling topic, but like there really was a like breadcrumbs of like this guy to this guy to this shop to this beach.
And I didn't even factor in aerospace and how how that factors into surfing. It totally does, and that's totally us. Yeah.
I had no idea that the innovation in surfboards all happened in LA.
Yeah.
Like people would still be on like chop down a redwood and go surfing.
It's funny because when I talk about surfing in LA or surfing the surfing idea in Los Angeles, it's like 1/8 of what I'm actually talking about when I'm actually talking about like the cover of the Beach Boys and the Gidget TV show. And I'm talking about like... I'm
talking about the ventures when I talk about...
just like Tiki stuff. Like I'm not just talking about like, the reappropriation of gods into wood carvings that we just put everywhere willy-nilly. But I'm talking about like steel guitar and Tiki mugs.
Both of these things got so out of hand of what they originally were or where they originally... Like they really did just kind of become their own... Southern California, LA unique culture, which is sure an appropriated thing, but like it really evolved into something else.
Yeah, absolutely.
And now it all lives in Burbank. If people could surf in Burbank,
oh, absolutely. Oh, they absolutely would, and all the boards would be vintage and original.
They'd go right down the LA River, much like Kurt Russell in Escape from LA. So now, before we get to our man, that Tiki drink is really coming back. We have, before we get to our listener question, we have our pre-listener question plug.
Tiki room.
We told you to buy our calendars once. We're telling you again. Our 2025 lived and died in LA history calendars, $15. That's a great deal. Shipping included. You got half a year.
Yeah.
It's not too late. It's not too late to get your life together.
Yes.
So
you can do this.
I believe in you.
Yeah.
For $15.
For $15, I believe in you.
So you can email us, la.meekly@gmail.com or lameeklypodcast.com or Instagram, LA_meekly. $15.
We won't rip out half the page. You get the other half
still
for free.
keep those.
Yeah.
Can we have March at least? Just give me March.
Just come on.
Yeah. So now we have our listener.
We sure do.
At the end. This one is from our old pal, Dan O'Keefe.
Hi, Dan.
Surfing legend.
Surfing legend.
Yeah, I'm going to say it. Yeah.
They called him the Crow.
But
it was because
they called the Crow because he got shot and he came back to kill everyone on Devil's Night. It's a long story. But so he asks, are there any old episodes or topics you'd want to redo?
Plenty, Dan. 100
okay,
of
so
them.
I thought at first, all of it. Like everything up until 2016. Yeah, all of it. But then I looked through all the old topics because the thing with the topics is that we didn't used to do as intense of research as we do now. Like we used to cram 6 things into each episode, and now we kind of focus on 1 or 2.
And it's infinitely better.
Yeah,
who doesn't want to blow their entire wad on one subject in one episode instead of stretching it out
so that our kids can inherit this show? But then I did start looking back and I was like, no, I feel pretty good about maybe the J. Paul Getty story. I feel like I could do better now because that's a pretty juicy story.
It is. I remember you had that was an episode you had to do both.
I had to do everything.
You did
that
everything.
was the one that you failed me.
I did, yeah. And I promise it's going to happen again.
I swear to do it again.
Our early episodes, I certainly wish that I had given more time. Jazz got way too big and I spread out way too big on that one. The Dodgers, I know it's a 2-parter, but I wish I had done better summarizing the history of the Dodgers.
A lot of stuff of I don't want it. That's too big. I feel like I got but I don't know. I feel pretty good about it. I think maybe a better use of this would be redoing stories where we joked around too much and it didn't fit the sensitive subject matter.
Sure.
And I still maintain we maybe sometimes, but usually weren't offensively making fun of people who didn't deserve to be made fun of, but we were joking around sensitive things, which could have rubbed.
Sure.
No, I'm not going to hypothesize which rubbed people the wrong way. So maybe we're a little more sensitive now, even though I said that George Freeth they threw his corpse into the ocean and we all laughed about it.
We all laughed about it. We all joked about it. Not just me. I agree. There are some ones that we could redo where we're less glib and flippant about death and horror.
At the same time, I feel like I need to be more glib. The horror that we now live in, I feel like I can't face this reality.
Help me out here.
Help me out. Let me make...
I always find that when
let me make fun of George Reeves a little more.
I'm still, 11 years in, still struggling with finding the right amount of research. Cause I know if I read a book, I think everything's important. Yeah. And it becomes an 18-page book report.
Which is why the time frame helps in that. I just got I can't read anymore about
I cannot read another thing about, F. Scott Fitzgerald in Los Angeles. But also there are times where I have rushed research because I just didn't have time and I would put it off and I would be reading, but I wouldn't be sitting and actively typing out and thinking and, saving anything for the last minute. There has to be a better middle ground, but I'm just so bad with time management.
And not me though. I'm really good at all of that. Everything you just said that you're bad at, I'm great at.
Yeah. Well, that's why you're here.
Anything you're bad at, I can do
better.
So this is our kickoff to summer. I'm miming running up to the football like Charlie Brown.
Oh, right.
And then they pull it away from me.
It's fall now. What?
Yeah, like you did.
Yeah.
So welcome to summer, everybody.
Yeah.
And get out there, have 2 Mai Tais, and then surf. Make sure you have a really long cord connecting you to the board that you can get tangled up in because you had too many Mai Tais.
Too many Mai Tais. You got to keep the glass, though.
to keep the glass. They'll bury you in the glass. So enjoy some of this. Hey, take up surfing with Greg.
Take up surfing and take me out for Mai Tais.
Yeah, take me out to the Mai Tai.
You'll have to drive me home.
I won't pay or leave a tip. I don't care if you hate me afterwards. Enjoy what LA summer has to offer you, and we'll talk to you in July. Yeah. America's month.
What are we reappropriating this month?
Tune in what will be reappropriated between now and July 1st. So, we'll see you then. And that's been yet another episode of LA Meekly. The quarters in the sand that fell out of the hole in your board shorts. And then some like really cool guy came with a metal detector and found them. And he like used them at an arcade.
And then one of the rich surf boys pickpocketed those quarters, and that's how they end up back on the beach. And this is a cycle.
Yeah.
This is how money circulates.
Since 2013.